Hello friends, welcome to Squaird Plans, where creative planning and organization comes to life. I'm Stephanie, and today we're going to be sharing 5 tips and tricks for printing printables on your computer. I'll be showing you some of the things that you may not know about printing different types of PDFs using Acrobat Reader. So if that sounds good, let's jump in. Okay, you guys, so the very first tip we're going to talk about is bookleting. I have touched on this before in my printing video in the past where I kind of show you about printing printables, but I figured that this tip warranted another look just because there is some little nuances with bookleting. You can booklet any pages that are half or less than half the size of the paper that you're going to be printing on, if that makes sense. So if you happen to have 11 by 17 capabilities with your printer, you could actually print a letter-sized printable as a booklet as well. Most of us usually only have, at our home at least, a letter size or an A4 size printer capability. So the most likely printables that you'll be using for this bookleting tip would be a half letter for the letter size or an A5 size on an A4 sheet of paper. Before I get too far in, definitely be using Adobe Reader for printing printables. Cannot recommend this program highly enough compared to other programs, especially the default programs on your computer. So that said, you need to open up the file that you would like to booklet, and you want to go into the print menu. The paper size and handling is where we're going to live right now in this tip, talking about bookletting. And then down here, usually you want to at least check your page setup, which we're going to do right now because ours is not set up properly for an A5 size. You can tell what paper size you're working with here in the preview window. In this window, it has the 8.5 by 11 inches. That is your paper size, and that's what's in bold. But the document size, which is the size of the actual page, it's an A5 size, as you can see. But that's not going to do for bookleting. So let's go ahead and I'll show you how to change your paper setup in case you need to adjust it. So you want to go to page setup here, and then here you want to format it for your printer. So I have a Brother printer. We're just going to go ahead and select that. That will, you'll see once we click back into here, adjust the margins to the maximum margins allowable for my printer. The default adds a lot of extra space where it doesn't think it can print, but my printer will go a lot closer to the edge. So you'll see that update by changing the format. And then also here's the paper size. So we're going to try to change this to A4 size paper. And that's really it. So this is under the page setup button down here. Once we're done with those settings, we can hit OK. And you can see that the paper size updated here, as well as the margins. And luckily you have this nice preview window, so you can kind of see what's going on as you make adjustments. Okay, so now we're going to go to booklet. So what you want to do is under this paper size and handling, go to the booklet button. And then here, once you have that selected, you want to adjust the drop-down menu to be both sides. And then you want to do the binding left, because left would be this edge, which is the starter edge of the spine. So that way you know that this is going to be where you're going to either staple it, cut it, whatever. This is going to be your edge for the bookletting. You can also see how it changed the orientation to landscape automatically. And that's pretty much it. So if you want to see how it turns out or how it's going to be set up, you can flip through the sample here before you print. And here it's going to look a little strange. I know it's kind of hard to see, but it's basically taking, this is the very last page of the document. This is the very first page. And then the next is going to be the second page and the second to last page. And it's going to keep going like that all the way to the center, which is actually going to be the very center spread of the booklet. That's all you need to do. And once you're done with that, you hit print and you should get the results that you're looking for. And again, you can just take your cutter and cut the pages straight down the middle, making sure you're keeping the left pages on one side and the right pages on the other if you're printing them in chunks so that they go together properly in the end. Because you're basically cutting a book in half. So that's bookleting. On to tip number 2. Tip number 2 is going to be for printing multiples of pages without rearranging your document. So all you need to do is open a document that you want to only print specific pages out of. So let's say we have this holiday planner, and in it I have a lot of pages that have multiples front and back of the same thing. So like this one has event menu planner, right-handed side page, but then I also have the same thing on the left. A couple of things to keep in mind when you are going to be printing selected pages out of a printable. You want to think in terms of right and left-handed pages if the printable warrants it. I have some printables like my Getting Things Done inbox where it doesn't matter if you print right or left, so you can do multiples of pages without any problem. But here there's an obvious spine edge on all the pages, which is why there's multiples of many of the pages. So you want to keep in mind that you want to do right, left, right, left, right, left when you're printing it so that everything works out and the spine is in the right place for all of your setup. All right, so let's go ahead and go into that print menu and I'll show you how to get this done. So again, I like to start off with just the page setup, make sure those margins are good to go. So there would be a margin here where the gray area is, that would just be white. We've got the orientation on auto, which is, again, will center the pages in the center of the page. And then you want to go into pages. And here is where we can get really creative by printing multiples and changing things out without actually altering the document. So we're going to print pages 1 through 10. So you can use a hyphen to do a page span, a comma if you want to do an additional page that maybe is not in sequence. So then we're going to go to 11 and then 16, go 15 through 16. You could also separate that with a comma. And then we've got 21, 24, and then 27 through 30. Okay. So there you have it, and let's see how it comes out. So we've got those first 10 pages, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, holiday checklist, bucket list, fun. So you got gift giving again, gift giving third, then the event planner that jumps to the event menu planner, holiday notes, and back cover. It can get a little tricky when you're trying to do something like this, but with just a basic PDF program like this, not something that's more advanced like Acrobat or some other PDF manipulating software, this is a really good hack for printing your printable, using free software that's easy to do. You just need to keep track of what you're trying to print, and there you go. So it allows you to do that. You could print a bunch of the same page just as easily. Say we wanted to print this holiday checklist multiple times. So that's actually page 8. So again, you could just do 8, 8, 8, 8. And even though you probably wouldn't want to do on this document because the spine is on the right, but you could easily just print multiples of the same page. 1, 2, 3, 4, all the same page. It just gives you a lot of flexibility there. Just a tip in case you've never seen that before. Commas to separate the pages or hyphens to separate a page span. Okay, you guys, for the next tip, we're going to talk about single-sided printing and how to do that with Reader. what I have open here is a classic size planner from my shop. It's a monthly planner, and this is something that you would want to print on both sides. Say you wanted to print this all in line, front to back, but you only had a single-sided printer. So you could do it a couple of ways, but I'm going to show you the easiest way. Let's go ahead and jump into the print menu and first go ahead and set up the page setup. And in there, I am going to, again, set it to my printer just so that the margins shrink up. This is a classic size happy planner, so you can see the crop marks there in the corners that are on top of a letter size sheet. If you click on this More Options setting here underneath Pages to Print, you'll see that it actually has an odd or even pages option. So if you're going to print the whole document, let's say we don't actually want to print the full document. We want to skip pages 1 and 2 because those are the intro pages, the title page, and the instructions page. And we want to get started here. We want to print pages 3 all the way to the end, page 28. So first we'll adjust the pages to say start on 3. You always want to start on an odd number. I think I've mentioned this earlier, but I just want to mention it again. Don't ever try to start a double-sided situation with an even number page because things will get off. So always start with odd. And you can kind of see how that looks. We'll click off, and then you can see that page 1 now starts with page 3. And then under that, you will have that odd or even pages. So before your first pass, what you want to do is always start with the odd pages. Again, just makes things go smoother, trust me. And print all of the odd pages in your page range first. So if we were going to go ahead and do this, you could see it's showing pages 1 through 13. Originally it was 1 through 26. And it's only printing now the right-handed sides of the pages in one pass. So you can always test too to see how it's going to look before you print to make sure everything's going smoothly. And that looks good, so you would hit print and print that on your single-sided printer. Now once you do that, you have all of those sheets that come off the printer. So when you flip it, this page now being on the bottom, the very first page, and the last page will be here on the top. Make sure that you have it flipped properly for your printer. It really depends on how your paper feeds in, if it feeds in top first or bottom first, but you'll most likely need to have the blank side on top where it's going to feed in, and make sure that the top is going into your printer. Usually that's the first thing to print on. So you've printed the odd pages, and the next thing you want to do is click on this where it says even pages. So you're going to print the other pages now, and it's going to start actually on page 2, which would be page 4. And that will print just those left-sided pages now from the document. Now the trick here is, like I said, because you flip the pages over, you want to check this box here that says reverse pages. That is actually going to take those even side pages and then reverse them in order. So you can print backwards, if you will, and therefore, hopefully, if all goes smoothly, it should print the right backer for each of the pages that you've already printed. This works like a charm, but if you're a little bit scared, do test it out, do a small run. 2 pages, like a 4-page or a 6-page test run, and just make sure it's working the way that you expect it to. It really does depend on your printer and how the pages feed, but this is the most likely situation for printing on a single-sided printer, that you would start with the odd pages, then go to the even pages and check this reverse box, flipping the pages over and feeding it into your printer without having to rearrange your stack. So in this tip, I want to show you guys how to make printing spread style layouts a little bit easier. And by spread style, I mean those inserts that are both a left and a right page without necessarily any other pages on the back or the front of the spread. I have a few types of inserts like that in my shop, mainly my undated layouts. And I've pulled out this one here, which is actually the 2-page spread layout, which is my 4-page week layout. And we'll show you how to make it so that you can print a blank page here at the front instead of having my cover page and then go right into a left and a right sided page. So long story short, let's go ahead and jump in and I'll show you how to do this. Now you'll need an extra program for this if you are not using Adobe Acrobat. If you do have Adobe Acrobat, you can easily add a blank page to the front with that program, but if you don't have that, if you're just using Acrobat Reader, you can use a default program on your computer in order to achieve this. So what I'm going to do is take this file and add a blank page to it. I'm on a Mac, so what I'm going to use is a program called Preview. And on Windows computers, your default PDF program is Microsoft Edge for most of you who are updated, I think, past Windows 10. And it can also do the same thing. So let me go ahead and open up Preview. And okay, so here is the document in Preview on my Mac. And it looks basically the same. So you want to go to Edit, Insert, and here you can insert just a blank page. And that way I have one here at the top, right before Monday. And that's pretty much it. So we're going to go ahead and save this. We're going to close. Okay, so now I have that PDF that I had opened up with the inserted blank page. Now, you can't really remove pages and adjust pages in Acrobat Reader alone. So what we're just going to do, since now we have this blank page in here, is we're going to skip the very first page, and we're also not going to print the very last page and start with this page here. And even though it looks weird because of the way I have it showing the 2-page up, it will print perfectly, as you'll see. So we're going to go ahead and open up the print menu, and in here, same thing, I'm going to set it up for my printer. I'm going to change the page range, and I'm going to click off. And so now we have a blank page here at the front. And then it's going to start off with the left-sided page. Right, left, right, and there's nothing at the back, which will be another blank page. So this makes it a little bit easier for you to print. If you wanted to add a divider here at the front, you just wanted to stick it right on, like some cardstock or a pre-made divider. Or if you wanted to add a dashboard in here and not have anything here, you could reprint on this side of the page. So it gives you a nice way to have some options for how you want to use that cover page instead of using the pages that are included. That's all you really have to do, and this will work for a 2-page spread, 4-page spread, as you see here. And you just need to insert that blank page just to make sure everything backs up properly. And finally, this is more of a bonus tip. It doesn't really have anything to do with printing per se, but something you might not know if you are trying to print something but have the spine flipped in your planner. So for example, if I wanted to print this where the Monday, Tuesday page was the starting page, and then Wednesday and Thursday on the back, you can print it as such. So you would start with page 2 and then move on to page 3, 4, 5, 6, and it would print Monday, Tuesday first, and then Wednesday, Thursday on the back of it. Then it would print Friday, Saturday on the next page, and Sunday and this week on the back of it. So it would be a flipped spine, if you will, because the spine would end up being on the wrong side to start. We're going to just go quickly into the print menu so I can show you. If you have a page size that is smaller than your paper size, like this classic page within a letter size page, there is plenty of margin on the edges. Now these crop marks are there to help with cutting. when you print these pages properly and you cut it along these cut lines, you will get the pages perfectly set up for normal spine printing. But like I said, if you want to flip the pages for some reason, what you can do is actually adjust these with your cutter. So you would cut the two sides with that top and bottom along the cut marks. But this here, you would reset. So you would actually cut this closer to the edge here and farther away to the edge here, so that you would have more room here for your spine and less room here. So what I would do, I would recommend is cutting the spine side first, where the Squaird Plans is. So you'd want to cut this side as close as you could to the margin that you want to do. So say you wanted it to be, along this edge, you wanted to cut right so that Squaird Plans was right on your cut line. Then you want to make sure that the page is the proper size. So then I would measure the sheet across and see, you want to get for a classic size page 7 inches across. I would just measure out 7 inches, which will go past these crop marks into the extra area on the page, and make that your new spine edge. It's a nice hack if you don't want to have something customized, but want to take something that you already have and just flip it and see if it works for you. It will take a little bit of doing just to figure out where to shift your margin to on the page, but something like a classic size on a letter, or if you're printing single pages on anything smaller like a mini or a half letter A5 on a larger sheet of paper, you should have the ability to adjust your spine accordingly. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, please give it a thumbs up down below. Also too, go ahead and leave me a comment if you'd like to get in touch. And think about subscribing to my channel if you haven't already, if you'd like to see more of my videos. Thank you guys so much for watching. I really appreciate it. And we'll see you next time. Bye!